but your name.
Mary was washing her dishes.
Mary was doing laundry outside, and then an angel appeared. An angel appeared, but nobody could see it because she had to put on these special glasses that made her see it, and nobody could see the angel unless they put the glasses on. I think that Mary would have, maybe fell back.
And she told him that you're going to have a baby.
And Mary said, no, I'm not going to have a baby. I'm only a teenager. I'm not married. Joseph said, what on earth are you doing? Are you just talking to yourself or something? Are you crazy? I don't think you're gonna have a baby. Mary is not lying. She really will have a baby, and you will have it in Bethlehem. Bethlehem. And then Pop went to baby, and then the angel said, you will name him Jesus. I think Mary rode on a donkey. Hello, my name is Deborah the donkey. Hee-haw! But we're about to have a baby, and we need a place to stay. Well, all the rooms are full, but there's a stable out back that you can stay in. Well, thank you. We at least need some shelter. You're welcome. Now go away. It was probably stinky with a lot of animals inside, like cows and sheep and donkey and
Probably horses, pigs.
chickens.
Then the angels went to the shepherds, and the shepherds were out with their sheep, and the angels appeared, and the shepherds were scared.
Yes.
I think the shepherds were having a tickle fight.
Ma'am, a sheep rat. Ba, 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 ba. I'm a wolf. Yum, yum, yum. Don't eat me. I'm gonna eat you up. I'm gonna eat your face up. Love it. He was born in a tiny thing.
The star was going to help the wise men find where Jesus was, and so the wise men went and followed the star, and then they eventually found Jesus.
And so they went to the shed and they got them presents, which was a hippo, some wipes and diapers, some milk, some shoes.
Jordans.
I'd give him a teddy bear and a blanket and an Xbox. They were dancing to Uptown Funk You Up, Uptown Funk You Up. They probably were like, oh, praise God for this wonderful baby.
He is handsome. Oh, he's so cute.
So which song should I sing? Night, holy night, all is bright. I don't know the rest of it. Me neither. This baby is gonna change the world.
Best baby ever.
I just love him so much.
Putting God first can be difficult. In this video, we'll explore what we can learn from Jesus that will help us put God first in our lives today. You know, at the start of every new year, we always hope that something may be different, that the days ahead of us will be better than the last. In the same way that we are starting a brand new year, Jesus was also beginning a new phase in his ministry when he was 30 years old. Now, what happened next was very strange, and it will help us as we start this new year. After being baptized in the Jordan River, Jesus was led up by the Spirit to be tempted by the devil. Satan was waiting for the moment he would try to deceive Jesus, as he did with Adam and Eve. If Satan could have led Jesus to put himself first, the whole war would have been lost. So Satan started with food. Yes, food. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus was extremely hungry. Why not eat if eating by itself is not wrong? Well, Satan was tempting Jesus to work for his physical needs first, doubting that the Father would provide for him. But Jesus knew that true wisdom has not only to do with choosing between good and evil, but also to choose what is best between two good things. So, Jesus put God first. Then the devil took him to the temple. That time, Jesus was tempted to put his senses first. Would he completely trust in God's promises and his word about protection, or would he constantly expect visible evidences? But Jesus, again, decided to rely solely on his word and put God first. Finally, the devil presented the very mission Jesus came to fulfill and offered an easier path: to avoid the crown of thorns while looking for the crown of glory. This third temptation is to take shortcuts instead of putting God first and deny self. Throughout this year, you will be tempted, not only to put your physical needs and senses first, but also to take shortcuts. But we can learn from Jesus that sacrifice ever precedes joy and leads to it. If we trust him and put God first, he promises that he will provide for all our needs in Christ Jesus. This is your first opportunity this year to put God first with your tithe and promise. Jesus put God first. His example compels us to do the same. As we return the tithe and promise, we are challenged to put God first.
Jesus is calling. sorrows and trade them for joy. From the ashes a new life is born. Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Sing hallelujah. Christ is risen. Bow down before him. For he is Lord. Sing hallelujah. Christ is
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another week of our new series in December, which is His story, and looking at the story of Jesus Christ as our ultimate hope story. And so you've heard from some of our previous guests, and which we're so excited to experience our another guest, which you have in front of you. And this is Pastor Dan Kewley, all the way from Bundaberg. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hey, Ray. Hey, everyone. Yeah, it's good to catch up with you online. Like, we do this pretty regularly, but like, it's still good.
Yeah, it's always awkward when we actually hit the record button and go, oh, we actually have to do this professionally, but we would normally do this anyway, but that's fine. Hey, Dan, tell us, can you tell us a bit about yourself in terms of where you are, what you currently do, a bit about your family, and just so, because obviously people don't know you. Obviously I do very well, but this is your first time on our live stream on our platform for Harvest Church, Harvest Community Church. And so, just share with us a bit of info about you, bro.
Yeah. Well, so like I said, pastor currently up in Bundaberg, looking after St. Andrew's Church. Been married for 13 years this year. It was 2007 we got married, and have 2 boys, 9 and almost 11. And it's gone crazy. Like, we've actually known each other for like closer to 20 years than that's really scary when you go, oh man, that was like 18 years ago when we first met. But no, that's cool to be able to see like these friendships over such a long period of time. So that's me at the moment in Bundaberg, and like I guess like for me, like I love creating resources, and like when we had you up earlier this year to be able to work with Warrior Kids, some chaplain at the Hope School as well.
That's so cool, Dan. And for those who are watching, Dan and I have had a friendship for many, many years now. We've even shared a room together on overseas when we went on it was a Bible land, sort of like Middle Eastern trip for our studies. So we got well acquainted with one another, and so we hold since then. I think that just really set the solid foundation for our friendship for the next forever now. So what happens on tour stays on tour. No, jokes.
Well, I don't even remember now. It was that long ago.
Dan, obviously Bundaberg, what happens this time of year in Bundaberg? Are there festivities? Like, what usually happens? Because obviously I'm only ever used to living in big cities. And you're quite different in your setting because you're in rural.
Like there definitely is. And I think even over the 4 years that we've been here, there's been like a lot more effort to do more community events, like sort of things like that are themed around Christmas and stuff like that, like doing up the lights and in town and having different things going on. One of the things, it's sort of like is like a funny kind of Bundy thing, because we moved from inner city Perth, right? Like, so like super, really busy, multicultural kind of place, to like Bundy, which is like the complete opposite to inner city Perth. But they would have this thing called Pageant of Lights every year, like at Christmas.
Like a festival of lights or something like that? Or
thing, and it was like it's this parade through the main streets of town where you'd have a whole bunch of schools, and like the Christian schools would dress up like a nativity thing and have like Christmas lights, and you'd have like the rural fire service, you'd have like different businesses like have floats.
Everyone's coming in this parade.
Seriously, it would feel like the whole town's like in this thing, and like it's packed all up and down like the main streets. Like,
I was going to say, I'd be surprised if there was anyone watching, because the whole town's in the actual parade.
Yeah, it feels like if you're not in it, you're watching. Like there's that many people there. And that's been sort of, that unfortunately got was a COVID fatality this year. But like, so sort of the kids are missing that and that sort of thing. Well, they do some like things like that, but usually it's also like the heat and the humidity hit this time of year. Everyone's just like braced.
I remember when I visited, I got invited by you to do some talks at the school that you're a chaplain at Hope Adventist. Is it Hope Adventist School? What's it called? Is that it?
Yeah, Hope. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was February, wasn't it?
It was like the middle of Feb.
I could not believe how hot it was. Not to say that Bundaberg's a bad place. It's a great place to live, but I just couldn't believe how hot it was. So, yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like for those in the parade who think it's a great idea, but not so great idea. If you can endure the sun in Bundaberg, you can endure anything, right?
So you got all the Christmas lights, like that makes it a bit more tolerable.
Yeah. Dan, what do you yourself and your family do in preparation for the Christmas season? Is there any sort of traditions that your immediate family do? Like, do you put up a Christmas tree? Do you sing carols every night? I don't know. I'm trying to.
I wouldn't say every night, but the Christmas soundtrack has definitely been cranked out. Like,
who are you listening to?
Look, it's been like often it's like the Pentatonics Christmas.
Oh yeah.
They have like 4 or 5 Christmas albums now. Like,
yeah, my girls, we've just started to listen to their most recent album.
Yeah.
And my kids just love. They've done a rendition of the 12 Days of Christmas. Yeah. Oh my word, it is the coolest thing. But once it's played nearly every half hour when they request, it begins to get under my skin. So I'm trying to convince them. Hey, let's listen to Amazing Grace. My chains are gone.
Oh, let's go back to a couple of years ago. Christmas album, just change it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that, and we have a bit of a weird dynamic in my family in some ways.
Sorry.
So I don't have a traditional bone in my body, and I'm not.
You're not hung up on like traditions and stuff, are you?
And I'm not like, what's the word, like I'm having a mental blank.
Oh, like, I know what it is. You're the Grinch. No, jokes.
Yeah. Like basically, sentimental. I'm not very sentimental sort of person, and like at all. But then like my wife is very sentimental, and my eldest is very sentimental, like loves traditions and loves the theater of it all and building the Christmas tree, and you can see like the top of my Christmas tree. Just
right there.
Behind me, I'm putting up like the lights, and I was picking up my eldest boy from one of his programs, sort of thing that he goes to, and we're coming home, and it was like 7 o'clock at night, kind of thing. And we got home, and my wife had put up some Christmas lights along the front of our yard, like just like one sort of string, kind of like very along the string. And Arch, my oldest boy, gets out of the car or sees it, and he's just like, "Oh, Mum, you magnificent human!" Like just so stoked that she'd gone and put out the Christmas lights. And
That's the Christmas spirit, mother. You've done well. You've done well.
but for him, like, it's doubly exciting because it's his birthday the week before Christmas, though, as well. So
Oh, nice. So how do you go about then? Obviously, you're saying there's Christmas songs, there's lights, there's excitement because it's birthday. Like, do you introduce the story of Jesus? And I'm just saying it as if like I don't know, but I can only imagine. Like, what do you guys do in that aspect?
So there's a few different things. Like, obviously, you have church, and you have those kind of themes, and you start talk, like, even just informally talking about it, like, and talking about the story. But also, like, from I really love the movie The Nativity Story. So it's probably 10 to 15 years old now. The one with the Kiwi girl that plays Mary.
Oh, yes, the whale rider girl. That's all it was called.
Keisha Castle Hughes or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's just called The Nativity Story.
Yeah.
But man, they just did such a good job of like depicting that story, and just like I sort of get like choked up every time. Like there's one particular sort of thing like with the shepherds and like they just do such a good job of showing that story and the human story of it behind it as well. So yeah, like we'll watch that a few times over the over the next month and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so true because in our household, same thing. We listen to Christmas music, and I just compiled a brand new Christmas playlist on Spotify. And so it's always nice when you hit the random button, like it randomizes. You're like, oh, who sings this? And but we also watch The Star, the animated one. Oh, that's so.
Oh, just lost you.
There we go. That's such a cool depiction of the nativity scene, and so my kids love it. They almost have memorized the entire soundtrack because there's soundtrack to it as well. So yeah, that's heaps of fun. It is heaps of fun in our household. I have a household full of women, and so yeah, lots of singing.
I do remember that one did get a serious play last year at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like your kids, like they like something, they'll watch it. They won't just watch it once. It'll be like 5 times.
Yeah, 5 times in one day. They'll watch it 5 times in one day. Dan, I know I cheekily said you're the Grinch. I'm a bit like that as well. I'm like, I'm wasting money on buying presents. But I did want to ask you this, like, what is something that you enjoy about Christmas, like the Christmas season? What's something that you really look forward to this time of year every year?
Something I look forward to is I do look forward to like the holiday element of it, like just being able to put life on hold for a bit and work on hold and just being able to spend time together. And look, there's always like I really like the feast kind of element of it. Where you make food that you don't make during the year because it takes that bit longer to do and you put more effort into it and stuff like that. And I like just getting together with the extended family. Like I've got like a bunch of nephews and a niece. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to is coming down to Brisbane. Like we got tickets for all of us to go to the Big Bash, and we're going to be 12 of us in a row. Like, and me and the family and my brothers and their families, and so just that sort of stuff, like stuff that you wouldn't normally do throughout the year, like being more intentional about connecting with each other and spending time with each other.
Man, that's so cool. And it'll be a hot one at the Big Bash. I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Is it still sponsored by
Oh, I just lost you.
Yeah, I was just saying, do they still give out the KFC buckets and you wear it as hats?
I think, yeah, or like the watermelons, like when they
Oh, the
carve it.
watermelons, that's the new one. Yeah. Hey Dan, can you tell us what does then the story of Christmas mean to you? Like the story of Jesus, like it's such a beautiful story, yeah. Because what you've described just now sort of summarizes like the essence of Christmas. Like it's about family, it's about coming together, it's about celebrating, it's about festivity, it's about sharing food, it's about building community, it's about just feeling great. Like how does that dovetail into like the story of Jesus, and what does that mean to you, like the actual nativity story and that whole picture of Jesus coming down and being a part of this season as we call Christmas?
Yeah, I think like I can probably talk about it in a little bit of terms of like my journey with Christmas, like growing
Right.
up. Grew up in sort of like kind of a Christian family, but not like particularly Christian like at
Yeah.
all. And so Christmas never really had like a strong sort of Jesus focus or anything. But and then like I remember like when I became a Christian, became an Adventist, I went through a phase like where I was really anti-Christmas, like like I didn't talk about Christmas in the Bible, rah rah, like pagan holiday, that kind of brand of Christian, and that was like that actually got sort of like amplified for me, like when I went overseas and spent the better part of a year living in Africa, and where I was like I experienced a few things that really really affected me quite a lot. Like, and it was like around, like poverty and things like that. And I remember I came back just before Christmas, in the middle of my trip, to see my now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. And so I've come from like Tanzania, going into people's houses that have like dirt floors and don't have windows, and like can't pay for medicine, kind of like poor, to the middle of the shopping center at Christmas time. And I was just like, just remember just like being like angry, like anger. And like there's words for it. It's just like, it's called like this reverse culture shock. So, and like it couldn't just be worse timing to go from, like, because it was just such extremes. But sort of as I've sort of gotten older again and grown, and even sort of grown in my own journey and like having family and that kind of thing, you sort of look at the Bible more and look at the story more. You sort of go, well, if ever we're going to celebrate anything, Christmas is the thing to celebrate. That God becoming man, lowering himself to that extent, and not just becoming a human, or becoming like a king, like making himself like a servant, being born in the manger in Bethlehem, out of wedlock, like in this situation, to be hunted by the king, like that God would do that for us, like is something we should celebrate as Christians, because it's it's one of the things that sets God, or our God, Jesus, apart from all the other gods, that he came to save us. We didn't have to go to him.
I love it because it's a story of endless pursuit, isn't it? Like when I say endless pursuit, it's like God's just pursuing us and going, I'm going to show you my extravagant love. And that's what Christmas is, a part of that season. It's about showing your extravagant love. But in the context of Christianity and in the context of ourselves as being ministers, it's like, the most extravagant love that was shown through Jesus himself.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful, beautiful picture, right?
Oh, like, and it really is what we should be celebrating. Like, if we can't sort of go, we can on one hand go, well, yeah, we don't know like what day Jesus was born, like, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Like, we can still go, no, like this event that God becoming man, being God with us, ultimately to come and die for us, to make a way for us. If we're not going to celebrate that, like, what can we celebrate? Like, as people, yeah.
And it's a beautiful picture, like you said. It's the celebration of everything that God stands for. It's the celebration of Him coming to this world. It's a celebration of life, new life. It's it happens to be this end of the time of the year. We're heading into 2021. And speaking of which, I sort of just thinking off the cuff now, like as we do head into 2021, and we're sort of in the season of God's story and being made aware of it. What is something that you are hoping to, or what are you looking forward to in 2021 with Jesus' story? How are you going to use Jesus' story in 2021? Because it just doesn't end in Christmas. Like, it's a story. It's not just that Jesus' story isn't just a Christmas story like December.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like it really, when God calls us to love like He has loved us, and we look at what He actually did, and you sort of go, well, actually, like that's what God is calling us to be, and to serve, and to humble ourselves in our place, and to be servants in our community. And so, yeah, for me, 2021, like it's going to look a little bit different in ministry terms for me, but I'm really looking forward to being able to share Jesus potentially like through like a much wider network and through a much wider place, through things that He's got in store, and in a service sense, like I really hope to be working with some of these in areas within my community that are sort of like the lower ends of the place, and so sort of putting myself out there for them.
I love it, and that's a great way to finish off in terms of it's about being intentional, about being intentional about the story of Jesus, not just in December but all year round, and being intentional of how that story has impacted you. Therefore, you want to impact others with the same story, and so it's like the fusing of two things. It's your life, your story, but it's also His story more so.
And
Dan, you go.
One thing to like finish on, like something that I've become sort of taps into something we were talking about before, but in aspect about the celebration of Christmas.
Yeah.
And like I come from an English background, like my parents are English, they're English immigrants to Australia, and so I have like very English cultural thing, and English people. Culturally, and this has like affected our whole church like in a lot of ways, and so that's part of the reason why we don't like celebrating Christmas is that English people don't celebrate anything. like in terms like we really struggle to celebrate, like and even our celebrations are like very formal and very like and that kind of thing. And so for you guys, where you're talking like a lot more multicultural aspect, to go step back and go, oh, like actually this culture here, like in church where we're not celebrating this, it's okay to actually bring in like what we have and go, hey, no, like actually this is something we should celebrate, and we should be celebrating loud that, hey, Jesus came from heaven to earth to save us. That's something worth shouting about.
And what a cool way to finish off our talk today is that we need to celebrate more.
Yeah.
It's not a story that should be hidden. It's a worldwide story, because how crazy is that for maybe, other than Easter, but Christmas is like literally the whole world has to talk at some point about Jesus. It's Christ, right?
Yeah.
And so I hope and pray that you have a blessed Christmas, Dan, and that you celebrate eating and putting up all the remainder of your lights at your house.
Yeah. Well, like I'm sure Jack will get onto that. He should do it.
She'll do an amazing job. And what did Archie say? He says you're impeccable. Well, thank you again, Pastor Dan, all the way from Bundaberg. We appreciate you sharing with us this afternoon,
Yeah.
and just reminding us to celebrate. Yeah, Jesus helps us to celebrate. This whole festive season is the celebration of people and being present with each other, but also celebrate the story, because that's what he wants for us. He wants us to celebrate him, and also
Yeah.
thank you again, Pastor Dan. And we shall see you in 2021. Thanks again. See ya.